Has Season of Discovery become too boring?
So a few weeks ago we spoke about what potentially went wrong for Season of Discovery, as we were trenched in the never-ending Phase 3, seeing Season of Discovery's popularity dwindle, with a few patch notes coming out and brief summary on what was coming in Phase 4 in parts. Yet it's felt like throughout the tenure for Season of Discovery, nothing has felt as bold or experimental as Phase 1 did, despite it being a self-proclaimed experiment by the classic WoW team, and the vanilla with a twist was no longer feeling very twisty. However, recently we have had a big old video update from our favourite band of classic WoW developers, giving us the lowdown on what to expect in Phase 4, now confirmed to be coming on July 11th. As our first teaser a few weeks back stated, we'd be getting Molten Core, and everyone kind of just went, okay, cool. Our development felt a bit lackluster. However, with this new information dump, is it looking like Phase 4 could be on the way to save some of the popularity?
This is pretty much what it is. This is what it is. Okay, this is the most illiterate statement ever. But listen, the announcement was, hey guys, Phase 4 is coming out soon, introducing Molten Core, but this time only with 20 people. That's pretty much... And you can do harder difficulties. It's going to be harder in some way. We don't know exactly how. It's not going to drop better loot on the harder difficulties. It's going to drop more loot. Okay, yeah, there's going to be one extra boss. There's one extra boss now. We don't know exactly what he is. Okay. I think there's going to be a new dungeon. Okay.
For Season of Discovery. Let's take a look.
But just before we jump in, feel free to like and subscribe if you're new here, as it helps me out a bunch. So thanks very much indeed. Now, let's get on with it.
So, at a very brief glance for the updates we got in Phase 4, it's been confirmed that the new phase will be with us on July 11th, where all vanilla dungeons and content except for raids will now be available. So anything that was locked before should now be open and ready for action. Alongside this, there was a new secret dungeon that has been teamed to be found in the demon area of Ashenvale, an area which I quite like and featured in the questline for getting Divine Storm for Paladins. And to skim over the details, we are getting class changes where skills that were previously runes are now just becoming core-based skills. For example, Seal of Martyrdom for Paladins is now just going to be a skill as opposed to a rune. There's also the addition of the Blackrock Eruption events, as well as further developments for itemization which we had previously been told about. And finally we head into Molten Core with supposedly one additional boss and a Nixia's Lair. However, world bosses are delayed till July 18th and instanced raids on July 25th. So at Phase 4's launch on July 11th, not all the raid content is available. But at a super brief glance, that's what Phase 4 will be giving us. Now, to be honest, all of that sounds pretty good to me, and how could this new phase save Season of Discovery or reboost its popularity in some ways? Well, first of all, we have had people simply waiting for the level 60 cap for a long time now, due to not having access to certain core abilities and scaling talents, which had been an issue for previous phases when capped at lower levels, so these people will likely re-emerge. In terms of content,
this is totally anecdotal. It's impossible to know how many of these people actually exist, but I have heard from a lot of people over the last 8 or 9 months that classic WoW SOD has been unfolding. I don't really care about the level 25 meta. Level 40 meta, I don't care. 50 meta, whatever. Let me know when the game is level 60. Most certainly, there's some non-zero amount of people that feel that way. They're just kind of like waiting for the 60 meta. How many? Is it enough to save the game, to revitalize the community? I don't know.
And everything we have at vanilla besides endgame raids is available, so there's just naturally far more to do in the game in Phase 4, which is likely to drag players back in who have been waiting for such content to arrive over the past 6 months with that 60 cap. It's also worth noting, I think the long-term sustainable changes that have been implemented with class design is a big win for Season of Discovery at this point, in an attempt to steady the ship for future endgame content, where classes that had to choose between some pretty vital runes or runes you simply want to cycle in use no longer be in a pain when having to re-add these runes to your gear, or say you've pulled a boss and just forgotten to change them out. Having some of these runes as spells simply gives more options to classes and makes them more streamlined to play. And simply there is an injection of hype with each new phase. There will be returning players for Season of Discovery to give it that feeling of life back in the world, and I think the game will start to feel a bit more normal, for lack of a better word, or at least things will truly begin to shape up for what we feel a potential Classic Plus would truly look like now, as there's been a lot of development and understanding as to what will make a vanilla with changes game mode tick in terms of how classes work. And there's a good chance that Phase 4 is the beginning of something really great on the horizon for Season of Discovery, and the long-term game plan for whatever is to happen with Classic WoW. We're finally at endgame at level 60 cap, and things should really start to hot up here in terms of brand new content, and experiencing the vanilla content everyone loves, but with classes that work a bit better in comparison to vanilla itself. But to be honest, my genuine first response to the video was that although there are some good long-term changes in there, I was left simply thinking, where is the new stuff? Are the bold and brave decisions that Phase 1 brought with it that got us all hyped in the first place? We've had a potential teased new dungeon and maybe a new boss in Molten Core with
I don't want to be too negative. I don't know how we have the first level 60 phase after a phase 3 that is 2 times longer than it should have been. Like phase 3 has just, here, I'll show you. Phase 3 has just drug on and on and on. It should have ended 6 weeks ago, right? If everything had gone according to schedule. How have we had a phase 3 that's 2 times longer than it should have been? We're going to phase 4, and there's not even a new raid. There's not even a new raid waiting for us. It's just 20-man Molten Core. It is, like, that is a little bit disappointing. I'm going to be honest. It is. It sucks.
Difficulty adjustments, but is that it? Realistically, Phase 4 should be as big as Phase 1. Phase 1 was the brand new introduction to Season of Discovery, bringing about a true feeling of being in the vanilla world, but in an experimental and new exciting take on things. To reinvigorate players who, although want to stay in the classic world, also want something brand new in vanilla. Much like fans of old school RuneScape who have seen you stay true to the classic world whilst adding new content. And Phase 4 is the huge start of the endgame, where a lot of World of Warcraft's content tends to lie. And with vanilla WoW, you certainly can argue that leveling is the biggest aspect of the game, as the world is the main character. But with Season of Discovery's phase system, and leveling through increments at a time, this has kind of been removed in many ways and doesn't feel like a huge journey anymore. It has been more about what happens at level cap, and getting to level 60, the true level cap, implicates the same thing for endgame content. Players' characters should now have access to all their talents, the potential to get all runes, and a true chance to now do everything you fancy in the game. So despite it being arguably the biggest phase getting to endgame, it feels pretty underwhelming to me. There's no grand gesture to say, hey guys, we're in the endgame now, this is the true business side of things where it gets real big and exciting. Trust me, come back to Season of Discovery, get yourself to max level, and really see what Season of Discovery is all about, just to show off some of the true potential and that things are worth sticking around for. Realistically, it just seems like there's not too much to get hyped about, if I'm honest. I said this a few weeks ago, I love Molten Core and vanilla raids, and if this was fresh vanilla era servers, I would be hyped to jump back into Molten Core big time. Yet running Molten Core with class changes just feels like a bit of a curiosity to me, not a big attraction.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give Phase 4 4 weeks, 1 month. I'm going to wait for the raids to release. We're going to see how people like it. We're going to see how fun it is. After SOD Phase 4 has been out for 1 month, I'm going to do something I haven't done in a long time. I'm going to actually sit down and write up a video script, and it's going to be a very long video. You know the Asmongold Treehouse videos where he's just rambling about things? We're going to do one of those videos. Comprehensive retrospective review of SOD 1, 2, 3 phase, and things that have gone right, things that have gone wrong. I have a feeling this video is going to end up being pretty brutal. It's going to be brutal. But we need to wait and see how Phase 4 goes. We need to see how Phase 4 goes.
That makes me want to dive into Season of Discovery and get really excited for the future of Classic WoW. And whilst I understand that there'll potentially be more phases and maybe some new content along the line, the longer this kind of underwhelming approach continues, the more it seems a little too late. Now maybe from a development point of view for Season of Discovery, it makes entire sense. Keep things pretty safe and focus on class changes and itemization, getting things right. Seeing how this performs in endgame by tweaking some of the vanilla raids that already exist, and then bank all the huge exciting content for a future Classic Plus project. And while I'd say long term that does make a lot of sense, but to me still, this announcement in particular and the content reflect.
This is one of the original copium takes when SOD got announced, 8 or 9 months ago in November of 2023, BlizzCon. People were saying, okay, so SOD might not be exactly what we all had in mind for Classic Plus, But SOD is probably like the Classic Plus beta. They're going to test things out, see what people like, see what people don't like. The stuff people don't like, they're going to scrap it. We're never going to hear about it again. The stuff people do like, they're going to save it, and they're going to re-implement it in some future Classic Plus that is yet to be announced, or that it's coming. It's in the pipeline a year from now or 2 years from now. I think that is copium. I think that always has been copium. I don't think that's the case. I think that SOD is Blizzard's best approach at Classic Plus. They might try again a year from now, but I don't think the Classic devs are like, we're going to use SOD as our testing ground for new things, and then we're going to, methodically extract or toss certain things and then re-implement. I don't think that they were having that much forethought with SOD. I think they tried to do it. I think this is it. As far as they are concerned, they tried to do it. And some things have gone wrong and some things have gone right.
Acting for Phase 4, especially after the long slog that Phase 3 has been, isn't quite enough to keep me fully engaged, and I will probably get to level 60 at some point. But that's purely because I enjoy the class adjustments of Ret Paladin and I like Classic WoW. But I probably won't be committing myself to any form of regular raiding or playing Season of Discovery all that much from here in out, and especially if we just get regular vanilla raids. And if more players aren't bothered about Season of Discovery and continue to tune out as well, and not bothered by the content on offer, this might have bad potential implications for any future long-term project. I mean, if that's the case, maybe we don't get a Classic Plus. Instead, we just get another Season of Discovery for development, as the Classic team says, well, there simply wasn't enough engagement for long-term to build something truly sustainable, meaning that these safer decisions have come back to haunt them. Yet I can see why they're taking this.
That is most certainly what's going to happen, okay? So people always ask, how long is Season of Discovery going to last? And I think the very obvious answer is as long as people are playing it. But that sort of puts the responsibility of the success of Classic Plus or Classic with some changes on the player base rather than the developers. Because what causes people to stop playing it in the first place? Why would people stop playing? Bad design decisions, right? And so they'll say, okay, well, and this is kind of the case with Season of Mastery. Well, we're going to keep it around for as long as people are having fun doing it, and we're going to keep making content for as long as people are enjoying it. But it's like, well, what if it's bad content? That's not the player's fault for stopping. That's the developer's fault for making bad content. So we need to see what happens with SOD. I think it's going to be very, very hard for the Classic dev team to be motivated to keep making new content, spending tons of money and time making new content for SOD if the participation chart looks like this, right? Like let me put it this way. If SOD Phase 4 does not revitalize this game, if the numbers are just like bad still going into Phase 4 after Phase 4 has sort of, been out for a couple months, I would not expect much with Phase 5 or Phase 6 or Phase 7 or Phase 8. I think in a lot of ways the future of SOD depends on how well Phase 4 is received by the player base. I think entirely. Phase 4 is very, very important for the future of SOD. I really think so.
Through, and I think it does make sense from a sensible point of view. But I think the key issue lies with the fact that they came out and stated SOD is an experiment by their own description, then gave us some pretty bold changes in Phase 1, some nicer changes in Phase 2, then things have kind of fallen off for Phase 3 and Phase 4's announcement. We can't just be running Molten Core and Naxxramas like normal vanilla, but whoa, here we go guys, don't you worry, you have Divine Storm now, get hyped. We will need some actual new content to see how the Classic team can manage introducing brand new content within the vanilla world, and I don't just mean transformed dungeons. And maybe this is potentially starting with this supposed hidden dungeon they're adding in Phase 4, but we need some hype to build and to capture some key interest for more than just vanilla or classic players who enjoy Molten Core. Whether that's a stretch of new dungeons or new raids, I really don't mind either way. I mean, go really crazy. Instead of Naxxramas being a raid, it could be redeveloped into 5 new dungeon wings like Scarlet Monastery, making it more accessible for lots of people. And the loot from these dungeons could be pre-biz raiding gear that people can...
Listen, I'm going to keep it honest. We don't want Naxxramas divided into 5 wings. We want new shit, okay? I don't want repartitioned Naxxramas. I don't want Black Fathom Deeps turned into a raid. I don't want Nomuragon. I've done Nomuragon. I've done Molten Core. I've done Sunken Temple. I don't want 5-man dungeon version of Naxxramas split up into 5 different distinct instances. New shit, okay? Give us new shit. something new to do.
And farm to get into a brand new raid in Season of Discovery. That way you kind of still have access to vanilla content, but also something brand new. I mean, we've been seeing dungeons get turned into raids, so rather than rerunning the old endgame in vanilla, why not turn them into mega dungeons with a twist and implement some completely new raids for true endgame? Maybe this is something worth saving for Classic Plus, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt to give it a go. I mean, something big and bold like that would be one great ending, and solidify some pretty good confidence in me that Classic Plus would be worth trying out, and would be actually possible. And being honest, I still think they could easily pull something big off. I haven't lost faith by any means, I'm just a little disheartened or disappointed, like a lot of people are who just want Season of Discovery to be a real success and catapult us into something really great long term. I think for Phase 4 they had an option of go for fun or go for balance, and it seems Phase 4 went for attempting to balance the endgame a bit more and add some quality of life choices in there which seem quite reassuring, whilst trying to make sure there is also still some endgame content there for us to enjoy. But if there's going to be more phases, which I assume there will be, we need some fun injected back into Season of Discovery to remind us what we're actually here for, a fun new journey in a familiar world. And personally, I don't think Season of Discovery has massively fallen off or is dead or anything like that. There's just been a few bumps in the road, and hey, maybe Phase 4 is the start of getting things true.
Okay, 496,000 people. Okay. That is the, or this is not people, characters being registered on Warcraft logs, okay? So at SOD's peak during Phase 1, in 1 week, there were 496,000 characters appearing on Warcraft logs. Right now, it is 37,000. At the moment, SOD has 1/13 of its peak. This means SOD has lost 12/13 of its overall player base, or its overall character participation on Warcraft logs, if you want to be a stickler about that. It is not doing well. Okay. Now, I'm gonna like try to break this down in a very articulate way. I think it is fair to say there are a lot of people that have been waiting for the level 60 meta for Phase 4 to release. In fact, a lot of people that haven't even bothered with the 25, 40, or 50 meta, they're saying, listen, I don't care about 25 Black Fathom Deeps. I don't care about level 40 No More Gun. Let me know when the 60 content is available, and then I'll come and give it a try, okay? There are people that feel that way. And I think those people will come and try SOD for probably the first time. I think a lot of people are going to come back. I haven't raided in SOD in like 5 weeks, okay? So I will come back. There's me. There's +1. I'm sure that's a lot of you guys listening too. You probably have taken a break from SOD for the last month or so. You're going to come back. Okay, there will be a resurgence. I don't think SOD is ever going to have that breath of fresh wind after Phase 4. Like, how can I put this? If Phase 4 bombs and it sucks and it's terrible, I don't think many people are going to come back for Phase 5. I think a lot of people are going to come back for Phase 4 and give Phase 4 a chance, because it is really going to be, it's the beginning of the 60 meta. What's it like? How's the balance? But if Phase 4 bombs, are people going to say, okay, I'm going to come back for Phase 5? Not as many people. I really, really think the future, the optics, the player turnout of SOD going forward, it really, really depends on the degree to which Phase 4 is received positively, okay? People need to like it. If Phase 4 bombs, SOD is like really, really not in a good spot.
Truly back on track. But do let me know what you think. Is Phase 4 the start of something really good for Season of Discovery?
I hope
or
so.
have you lost all interest? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Yet, as always, take care out there, and I'll see you on the next one.
So
let's go. Okay, like that video, subscribe. Great video. Always love to have a discussion about stuff like this. There's that. Excellent.